All right. Just proud of this group. Proud of the camp that we threw together. The effort every day. It was a great group to coach. We know we have a lot of hard decisions to make, coming in the morning. And, I just wanted to say that first and foremost. I think just the energy, the excitement, the culture that we're building here, the brand of football that we're learning to piece together and play with. Just really proud of the way the guys battled. We had 55 guys up. I mean, guys are out there, on every special teams unit you can think of, playing offense, defense, and so I'm just really proud of the way the guys stepped up today and got it done.
Is there anything you can glean out of the offense coming out of this game? No starters, still kind of sluggish in its way.
Yeah, let's score some points. Let's finish when we're in the red zone. The turnovers is a big thing. We got to continue to work on that and clean that up. That part is not up to our standard. We moved the ball. We got down there, but we got to finish. That's part of who we want to become. So, collectively, we got to find a way to do that.
Made a decision on the kicking competition?
Not yet. No, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Is there a reason why you didn't let Matt attempt to kick? Just because it seemed like you were doing halves, like first half and second?
Yeah, I think just opportunity.
Dave, what was the thought process behind not playing Bryson Jermaine tonight?
Yeah, just general body soreness. Felt good about the work that we saw him have in the first 2 weeks, and then, bounce back this week for, really just kind of a grinder practice 2 days ago. And we shut him down in the middle of that practice. We just didn't feel good about being able to turn him back around that quickly to get him out there in the game.
What does that speak to his roster chances?
He's got a good chance, and for Bryson to really show what he can do offensively and then on special teams as well. He really made a statement for himself on this team. So something that we weigh heavily, and so just excited to have the conversations and see how that all plays out.
Dave, what do the next couple of days look like for you personally and the coaching staff?
Yeah, I think we have a little bit of a weird week because it's a Thursday game. Typically, this last game lands on a Friday or Saturday, so we have a few extra days. A great opportunity to come in tomorrow, watch the film. There's a lot of stuff that we can still learn from schematically, and different things, different challenges that presented themselves to the team. So we'll take advantage of that. We'll do our AM rechecks with guys, and then from there, we'll start as a coaching staff and with Dan and personnel staff putting our heads together tomorrow afternoon and be able to have the weekend to make some decisions.
Hey, Trevor had that big run tonight, but he bounced out. What has he kind of shown you tonight and just all through the season?
Who was that?
Oh, Trevor Etienne. Sorry.
Yeah, Trevor, just, I think just taking what's there. I think, being a reliable catcher in the return game, he's shown a lot of value that way. And, so I'm just excited for what he can do for us on this team.
Lee left with the shoulder. Do you
Yeah.
have any information on that?
We're going to, we're going to basically monitor that, tonight, monitor it tomorrow, just to kind of see how it presents right now. It was still sore enough, couldn't get the strength back tonight to get him back out there. So, this is a guy that's going to be with us, so we just wanted to be smart about that.
Lathan Ransom's interception and just some general comments about his training camp.
Yeah, just physical style of play. It's exactly what we're looking for, to show up in the run game angry, and he's still got a lot to learn. He's certainly growing in terms of just trusting his leverage, communicating with the other guys. But he's done a great job, and I think just seeing the weekly improvement, being in position, playing his leverage the right way. But, he's built right, and he plays the game with the physical nature that we're looking for.
Had Jalen Coker play on special teams
Yeah.
into the third quarter. Was that just a matter of getting him the live reps that he might have missed in Houston?
Partly was just, he was one of the guys we had dressed, and, especially like in the return unit on kickoff return, he was able to fill that role. We had a bunch of guys playing a lot of snaps, so I'm glad Jalen has become a dependable guy for us to be able to use in some different phases.
Thought process on how many receivers you might keep, just looking at what you've been.
It all depends on, again, we talked about this before, but it's the special teams are going to matter. When the guys, they realize, I think by now we've preached it enough that, when you're trying to make the last few spots, how many you keep in each room really depends on what you can do for us from a special team standpoint, and that's something we have to consider for the wide receivers.
To follow up on a question Mike asked, you could have called timeout and let Matthew kick at the end. Were you just happy to, what was the decision?
Yeah, I think we had played enough football, and, I'm looking across the way and, the Steelers, kind of had, towards the end of it, we were both trying to run the ball a little bit, knowing that we were both working with a smaller group tonight. And so, I just felt like it was time to let's run it a few more times, get these guys a couple more reps to evaluate them, and then take it in.
Do you have enough on tape from August on Matthew and Ryan?
I think so, and we have the benefit, of course, of Matt being around for a while, and both guys did a heck of a job, in my opinion, and really, I think you look across the league, these are two guys that bring something special, not just from making field goals and PATs, but it's certainly in the kickoff, and both guys have done a good job of getting the ball in the landing zone and creating some issues.
Dave, Jimmy Horn Jr., it looked like didn't get any reps in the first half.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong. Was that more about trying to get other guys like Hunter and David reps? And I saw Kobe Hudson, TJ Luther.
Yeah, we just kind of had to spread the work out and try to get evaluations of all the guys, and I was happy to see Jimmy get in there and make a couple of plays.
Dave, I know you're going to want to look at the film from tonight, but given what you saw in these 3 preseason games, what are your takeaways on where this team is at, and what are going to be the points of emphasis as you trim the roster down and try to get ready for Jacksonville?
Yeah, the style of play is there. It's a physical brand of football. The places where we got to get better is the turnovers. It showed up every week, in different ways. And so that's something that I have to get that done. I have to take that personally responsible, to be able to take care of the ball the way we need to if we want to win the games that we want, that we're aiming to win. And so that's something that we have to look at. I thought we did a great job in the last 2 weeks of cleaning up some of the penalties, the line of scrimmage stuff, all that. There was great improvement there. Love where our systems are at. We're playing with a bunch of combinations of guys, but also just finishing drives, and it just seemed like we got a bunch of drives going, throughout this preseason that kind of just ended, with turnovers or ended in different ways. Penalties kind of put us in some situations too. So just looking for that consistent execution across the board.
How did it feel for you calling plays tonight?
Great. I think the great part about Jack Plummer is a guy that I trust, and he allowed us to just be balanced and, try to attack, the Steelers in different ways. And so, I think outside of that turnover, we have a long drive down into the red zone. He's got to do a better job, but for him to be able to finish that drive before the half, come away with a touchdown to James Mitchell, I thought was awesome.
You guys activated Tommy. Any update on Damien?
Tommy got out there, wanted to get him just some around the team, just get him running, kind of feeling the energy, getting him excited for the season. And Damien's just kind of like day to day. He's making huge strides. We're getting the strength back where we want it to be. I feel really confident Damien will be with us for the first game. But again, we have to get him back out there, expose him to more, physical play, and get him back to football to be able to make that decision.
Perkins made a couple mistakes, but how did he handle himself after a short week?
Who was that?
Perkins?
Yeah, just to be able to come out here and make plays, we had a call sheet for him, things that he was comfortable with, so we were able to get some of those done. He got out of trouble a couple of times, but they had some good rushes on us, on some of the pass downs, so it kind of made it a little bit harder there. But it was great to just see him out there throwing a couple of accurate balls in that last drive so we can end the game with the ball. So I was just really happy that he was able to come, that he was willing to do this and, really gave us an option. And I really wanted to honor the hard work and a guy just betting on himself, playing in the UFL, to give him an opportunity to see what he can do.
Dave, if I could just have one more. What did you, second preseason is done as a head coach for you. What have you learned about the process of going through the preseason and just generally about, being a head coach in the NFL at this point?
Yeah, I just think it's the importance of all of us pulling in the same direction, looking for the same type of energy on a daily basis. Camp can get long. Coaches got to go. We got to go for it. The players will follow our energy, and there was a good back and forth. And I'll be honest, just learning about this team and the leadership and the guys that are here, that really spearheaded the type of physical play that we're looking for. And I just learned the value of having strong leadership in the locker room, but then also having the buy-in of the entire building to kind of understand, like, here's what it's supposed to look like. Here's what we're pursuing every day to create the winning culture that we want to here.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep. Thank you.